Hi, it's Sue with today's Bible reading for February 28th, and I'm reading Deuteronomy 3 and 4 today. Verse 1. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan. Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edris, or Edrei. Yahweh said to me, Don't fear him, for I have delivered him with all his people and his land into your hand. You do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon. So Yahweh, our God, delivered into our hand Og also, the king of Bashan, and all of his people. We struck him until no one was left to him remaining. We took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we didn't take from them. 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the king of Og in Bashan. All these were cities fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many villages without walls. We utterly destroyed them as we did to Sihon king of Heshbon, utterly destroying every inhabited city with the women and the little ones. But all the livestock and the plunder of the cities we took for plunder for ourselves. We took the land at that time out of the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, from the valley of the Arnon to Mount Hermon. The Sidonians call Hermon Sirion, and the Amorites call it Senir. We took all the cities of the plains and all Gilead and all Bashan to Salakah and Edrei. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Edrei. Cities of the kingdom of Og of Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Isn't it in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was its length, and 4 cubits its width, after the cubit of a man. What do we figure out? A cubit was like 18 inches. So that was quite a big man to need a bed that size. This land we took in possession at that time from Aor, which is by the valley of the Arnon, and half the country of Gilead and its cities. Gave I to the Reubenites and to the Gadites, and the rest of Gilead and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, gave I to the half tribe of Manasseh. All the region of Argob, even all Bashan, the same is called the land of Rephaim, or Rephaim. Jair the son of Manasseh took all the region of Argob to the border of the Geshurites and the Maacathites, and called them, even Bashan, after his own name, Havoth Jair to this day. I gave Gilead to Machir, to the Reubenites and to the Gadites I gave from Gilead even to the valley of the Arnon, the middle of the valley, and its border, even to the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon, the Arabah also, and the Jordan and its border, from Chinnereth even to the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, under the slopes of Pisgah, eastward. I commanded you at that time, saying, Yahweh your God has given you this land to possess it. You shall pass over, armed before your brothers, the children of Israel, all the men of valor. But your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, shall live in your cities which I have given you, until Yahweh gives rest to your brothers as to you, and they also possess the land which Yahweh your God gives them beyond the Jordan. You know what I think about with this? Have you ever procrastinated a job and then when you did it, you thought, why didn't I do that sooner? You know, they could have done this 40 years earlier. God told them they could go in and take the land, and now they're doing it. They're probably thinking, why didn't we just trust God initially? Or what, rather, why didn't our parents trust God initially? Very interesting. They could have been 40, 50 years, however long, down the road of developing their cities and their villages by now. Um, verse, where we off? It's part of verse 20. It says, let me just go back. Verse 19. But your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, shall live in your cities which I have given you, until Yahweh gives rest to your brothers as to you, and they also possess the land, which Yahweh your God gives them beyond the Jordan. Then you shall each return to his own possession which I have given you. I commended Joshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that Yahweh your God has done to these 2 kings. So shall Yahweh do to all the kingdoms where you go over. You shall not fear them, for Yahweh your God himself will fight for you. I begged Yahweh at that time, saying, Lord Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For what God is there in heaven or in earth who can do works like yours and mighty acts like yours? Please let me go over and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan, that fine mountain in Lebanon. But Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes and didn't listen to me. Yahweh said to me, let this satisfy you. Speak no more to me of this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward, and see with your eyes, for you shall not go over this Jordan. But commission Joshua and encourage him and strengthen him, for he shall go over before the people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you shall see. So we stayed in the valley near Beth Peor. Chapter 4. Now, Israel, listen to the statutes and to the ordinances which I teach you to do them, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh the God of your fathers gives you. You shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. Yahweh your God has destroyed them from among you, but you who were faithful to Yahweh your God are all alive today. Behold, I have taught you statutes and ordinances, even as Yahweh my God commanded me, that you should do so in the middle of the land where you go in to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of all the peoples, who shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has a God so near to them as Yahweh our God is whenever we call on him? What great nation is there that has statutes and ordinances so righteous as all this law which I set before you today? I can make a mark right there. I love that verse I just read that says, what great nation is there that has a God so near to them as Yahweh our God is whenever we call on him? So true, even today. Verse 8. What great nation is there that has statutes and ordinances so righteous as all this law which I set before you today? Only be careful and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes saw, unless they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But make them known to your children and your children's children. The day that you stood before Yahweh your God in Horeb, when Yahweh said to me, assemble the people to me, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and that they may teach their children. You came near and stood under the mountain. The mountain burned with fire to the heart of the sky, with darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. Yahweh spoke to you out of the middle of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but you saw no form. You only heard a voice. He declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even the 10 Commandments. He wrote them on 2 stone tablets. Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and ordinances, that you might do them in the land where you go over to possess it. Be very careful, for you saw no kind of form on the day that Yahweh spoke to you in Horeb out of the middle of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make yourself an engraved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the sky, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth, and lest you lift up your eyes to the sky, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars and even the army of the sky, you are drawn away and worship them and serve them, which Yahweh your God has allotted to all the peoples under the whole sky. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as it is today. Furthermore, Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over the Jordan, and that I should not go in to the good land which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over to the Jordan, but you shall go over and possess the good land. Be careful lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your God, which he made with you, and make yourselves an engraved image in the form of anything which Yahweh your God has forbidden. For Yahweh your God is a devouring fire, a jealous God. When you shall father children and children's children, and you shall have been long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make an engraved image in the form of anything, and shall do that which is evil in Yahweh your God's sight, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that you will soon utterly perish from off the land which you go over to the Jordan to possess it. You will not prolong your days on it, but will be utterly destroyed. Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be left few in number among the nations where Yahweh will lead you away. There you shall serve gods, the work of man's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahweh your God, and you shall find him, when you search after him with all your heart and with all your soul. Excuse me. That makes me think of in Hosea, there's a part where it says, I will lead her in the wilderness and speak tenderly to her there. It says they're going to go into this land, this faraway land, but they're going to seek God there and find him. It's like being in the wilderness. Oh, verse, I love that. But from there you shall seek Yahweh your God, and you shall find him. And when you search for him with all your heart and all your soul, when you are in oppression and all these things have come to you in the latter days, you shall return to Yahweh your God and listen to his voice. For Yahweh your God is a merciful God, and will not fail you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For us now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth. Excuse me again. I'm finding this really interesting. I'm wanting to slow down and read it a little. Let me just back up slightly. See, he goes into a he's telling him the story, recounting the story, and then he goes into this prophecy about how they're going to stray away. But they'll seek God and he'll hear them. And it says, for Yahweh your God is a merciful God. He will not fail you, neither destroy you, neither forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For us now of the days of the past, ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and from the one end of the sky to the other, whether there has been anything as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Wow. Did a people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the middle of a fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has God tried to go and to take a nation for himself from among any other nations, by trials, by signs, by wonders, by war, by a mighty hand, by an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh your God did for you? And by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? It was shown to you so that you might know that Yahweh is God. There is no one else beside him. Out of heaven he made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you. On earth he made you to see his great fire, and you heard his words out of the middle of the fire. Because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their offspring after them. And he brought you out with his presence and with great power out of Egypt, to drive out the nations from before you, greater and mightier than you, to bring you in and to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is today. Know therefore today and take it to heart that Yahweh himself is God in heaven above and on the earth beneath. There is no one else. You shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you today, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days in the land, which Yahweh your God gives you forever. Then Moses set apart 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise, that the manslayer might flee there who kills his neighbor unaware and didn't hate him in the time past, and that flee into one of these cities he might live. Bezer in the wilderness, Bezer, in the plain country for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. This is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the ordinances which Moses spoke to the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt, beyond the Jordan in the valley over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon king of Amorites, who lived at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel struck when they came out of Egypt. They took his land in possession, and the land of Og king of Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, toward the sunrise from Aor, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, even to Mount Zion, also called Hermon, and all the Arabah beyond the Jordan eastward, even to the sea of the Arabah, under the slopes of Pisgah. And that's the end of today's reading. I want to go back to something so interesting to me. In chapter 3, verse, let me find it here. Okay, in verse 11, it talks about the size of the king's bed. The remember I keep saying these were giants. These different races that they killed off they were um, they were huge people. And this one, it says that his bed, I think this is Og, king of Bashan. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. 9 cubits was its length. So 9 cubits is 13.5 feet. And then if you do let me do this math real quick. 4 cubits wide, if I'm doing this right, is 72 inches. Okay, so that's 6 feet, 6 feet wide by 13.5 feet long was how big his bed was. That's a big bed. That's a big guy made of iron because it's probably what it took for him for it to hold him up. I wonder what that bed looked like. Wow. Very interesting. 13.5 foot beast that they took out. That's amazing. All right, well, that's it for today. Feel free to comment your thoughts and questions and use the email that's in the description if you want maybe a private prayer or what have you. Also want to say that, no, let me just leave it at that. I'll save that for another time. Till next time, join me tomorrow. God bless you.